Sources for Maritime History. It is remarkable to see how the item of manuscript material in a particular field, coming in over a period of years and from numerous sources, do in the final analysis dovetail together to form one a unified collection. The result is like a piece of mosaic. This is the thing which fascinates the collector. Each item alone may seem more or less insignificant, but the whole is more complete because of the least significant part. Among the many industries for which Baker Library has been collecting source material, the most romantic and colorful is undoubtedly the shipping industry. Recent acquisitions along this line have so added to the value of this group that it has become an outstanding collection in its field. The earliest shipping record of any considerable extent came to the Society from Charles H. Taylor. They are the papers of Israel Thorndike and cover the years 1778 until 1818. Israel Thorndike was a shipping merchant of Beverly, trading primarily with the West Indies, though he also sent cargoes to England and Mediterranean port as well as to the East Indies and Calcutta. The papers include letters, accounts of cargoes sold and invoices of goods purchased at various ports, accounts current with captain of vessel, insurance papers, and etc. From this record, it is possible to learn much about the character of American shipping in the days of its very beginning. We can see the extent to which the merchant was forced to rely on the sagacity of his supercargo, and we see something of the difficulties that confronted him in establishing contacts in foreign countries. Further, the papers in the collection relative to the French spoliation claim indicate the problems American merchants had to face, which were arising out of the Napoleonic Wars. Another interesting group of shipping papers came to the Baker Library only recently. These are the record of Augustine Heard of Ipswich, Massachusetts. They run back to 1807, covering first this travel as a supercargo for Boston and Salem merchants who were trading in the Far East. Then his activities as a partners in the great shipping firm of Russell and Company, and finally his undertaking as an independent merchant. In 1836, he left Russell and Company, and by 1840, he had become head of his own firm, Augustine Hurt and Company, in which Coleridge and Kinsman were partners with him. In the later years of this company, the business was carried on by four nephews, Augustine Hurt, John, Augustine, Albert Farley, and George. The firm finally wound up in a bankruptcy in the 70s. The first account book of Augustine Hurt which we have is for the year 1807, when he was sailing as supercargo on the ship William on a voyage to Calcutta. His account of the trip are most systematic and complete. There were 19 persons sharing in the adventure, investing anywhere from $300 to $20,000. The total amount transported in Spanish mild dollars was $90,000 in addition to a considerable quantity of goods. He gives itemized account of the sale of goods shipped by various individuals and of the amount paid for goods purchased with a return. In the front of the book appear copies of the letters of instruction handed to him by the several individuals participating in the enterprise. We recognize quickly such names as Pickering Dodge, Nathan Robinson, Samuel Endicott, Joseph Lee, William Gray, and Israel Thorndike. For the most part, this man left much to the discretion of the supercargo, but occasionally, especially by those who had themselves been in the Orient, instructions were given to consult certain of the merchants in Calcutta. Ramdundal Day was mentioned in several letters. A collection of records running almost parallel to this in date, but differing greatly in type of business, is that of the Tudor papers. Here again we see separate gifts dovetailing together to form a whole. Some years ago, Charles H. Taylor gave 13 volumes of the Tudor Company record covering the years 1860 until 1902. Just a few weeks ago, Frederick Tudor, grandson of the great Ice King, deposited with Baker Library the manuscript which completed the collection, extending the record back to the 1804 with accounts of the first business effort of Frederick Tudor. This collection embodies a most exciting story of the gigantic enterprise of introducing ice into the tropics. However, more will be said of this new collection elsewhere in this bulletin. The record of the well-known shipping merchant of Portsmouth, Jacob Wendell, cover Nerdline, same period as the Hurt and Tudor papers, and add information of the specialization of another shipping port of importance. Another link in the history of American shipping is represented by a few volumes presented by Professor Ephraim Emerton. They are the account books of Ephraim and James Emerton, Salem merchant for the years 1816 to 1835, relate chiefly to trade with the pirate colony of Madagascar. American merchants were shipping hams, mackerel, rum, cotton, goods, musket, gunpowder, sword, epaulette, rich fringe, lace, looking glasses, and etc. The pirate evidently had a strong streak of vanity. The supercargo was buying for return freight tortoise shell, ivory, ebony, gum, copal, gum arabic, raffia, pepper, horn, and hides. The papers of Daniel W. Lord of Kennebunkport, Maine for the years 1821 until 1873 constitute one of the few manuscript possessions the library has that relate primarily to trade with Europe. In this group of papers, such ports as Liverpool, Antwerp, Hamburg, Havre, and Cadiz are those to which most frequent reference is made. For a later period, to the William Appleton and Company papers contribute much information of importance. They concern essentially the clipper ship era, though there are also earlier papers of great interest. In addition to the account books and letter books of the Boston office, there is a great mass of unbound papers consisting to a large extent of letters and accounts current from agents in various parts of the world. Unlike most of the important firms of the earlier period, this company didn't establish its own branches in foreign countries, but relied on establishments that were already going concern to represent them as agents. Among the most important of these were Augustine Hurt and Company, and Russell and Company, Canton, Walcott, Bates and Company, Shanghai, Russell, Sturgis and Company, and Peel, Hubble and Company, and etc. Carey and Company were their agent in New York and Ng. Represented them throughout the South, New Orleans, Havana, and etc. Mr. Henry Mellis was agent for the company in California, and less well-known houses represented them in Matanzas, Pernambuco, Rio de Janeiro, Antwerp, and etc. The firm William Appleton and Company was organized in 1840. when Samuel Hooper and James A. Appleton became partners of William Appleton. The company engaged in shipping the coarse textile manufacturers along with some raw cotton, grains, and lumber to China and the East Indies in return for tea, silk, mattings, and rice from China, hemp, sugar, indigo, and coffee from Manila. Thank you.